I'm going to invite them up on the stage to talk about who they lost to COVID and what their grief has led them to today. So if you could welcome Rosie and Hannah to the stage, please.
Let's give them a warm welcome, guys. First and foremost, thank you for the invitation to DC. This is my first time. This is my first time in DC, so thank you for inviting. I am Rosie Davis. I am the founder and the creator of Yellow Heart Memorial. I personally have been touched by COVID. I lost my mother, Mary Castro, on May 17th, 2020 to COVID-19. The last day that I would see my mother's face would be on Mother's Day. 5 days later, she lost her battle. So I needed to put my grief into action, and I wanted to personalize the numbers that we hear every day in the media. My mom was not just a number. Every life lost to COVID was not a number. So this exhibit that you see on the left-hand side, we have names of loved ones and the dates that they have passed away. We have their pictures that have been drawn by what I now consider my family, Hannah Ernst, which we have collaborated with Faces of COVID Victims, and that is how Yellow Heart Memorial was born. We are asking, we're not asking, we're demanding Joe Biden to release the vaccine, to share the recipe. We don't want other stories to be our stories. Everybody here in front of you with our banner has lost a parent. We've lost our parents to COVID-19. So we stand with you on all of the demands that you're asking. We stand with you in unity. Release the vaccine. Thank you.
So I wish I could say I'm as well spoken as Rosie, but I'm not. So I did prepare something. But hi everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Hannah Ernst, and I'm 16, and I'm from New Jersey. The name Cal Schoenfeld wouldn't mean much to most, but to me it means everything. With a crooked smile, Brooklyn accent, and jokes that cracked himself up if nobody else, my grandpa was the perfect example of what one would want in a grandparent. He was one of those guys you just couldn't forget, constantly whipping up witty remarks or sharing his infectiously warm laugh that would make you laugh in turn. Sure, he would unintentionally cheat at certain card games, or he would steal an extra sample at Costco. But that youthful, sneaky grin that he used to get when he was caught doing something he knew he shouldn't have is something that never dimmed with age. He was 83 when he died of COVID-19 on May 8th, 2020, and since then, nothing has been the same. The last time I got to see him in person is when he was wheeled away from my grandparents' house, and even then he was joking. The last words he said to me was through a joke and a wheezy laugh of, "I'm breaking out of here," while in the hospital. I didn't get to say goodbye to my grandpa. He died alone. When I saw how easily people were being lost in the ever-rising number of deaths, I knew I had to do something about it. My grandpa and I share the love of art, and so it felt fitting memorializing him through a digital art piece. Little did I know that that memorial would be the first of now over 1,600 memorials I've been able to do for COVID-19 victims. In August of 2020, In August of 2020, my project Faces of COVID Victims was born, and is now an international initiative that allows me to memorialize those lost by putting their portraits in front of a yellow heart, the symbol of COVID-19. Along with telling the stories of those lost, the mission of FOCV is to raise awareness to the falsehood of the COVID-19 victim stereotype, that only people with underlying conditions and the elderly die. I've memorialized children, young adults, new mothers and fathers, and people of phenomenal health, all who have succumbed to COVID-19. There are so many countries that are now in dire need of resources, and if we can supply them with the vaccine, we can help so many people. My grandpa couldn't be saved, but with the data, technology, and scientific advancements we now have, maybe another one can. Thank you.
We know that no one is safe until everyone is safe. So we want to thank Hannah and Rosie for coming up, being vulnerable, and sharing their stories with us. We stand in solidarity with you, and on behalf of all of us here today, we offer you our condolences and goodwill.
Thank you both of you for joining us. Many of you I know here have already had access to the vaccine. I had my second one yesterday. And I had a rally today. But, you know, my friend Julio in Ecuador wasn't so lucky. He passed a few weeks ago at the age of 28, and he leaves behind 2 young children and a young wife. And this is happening all over the world, even though we are, as Fari said, grateful that we're beginning to curb this pandemic here in DC and in the United States. We now have another speaker who's going to talk about the impact of COVID globally and why we need to pressure Joe Biden to support the TRIPS waiver and what might happen if he wouldn't. I'd like to welcome Paul Bryan from Amnesty International to the stage. Thanks.
Hi folks, this is my first public outing as the new executive director at Amnesty in the US, and I'm so happy this is it. I spent the last couple of years talking to folks around the world around vaccine inequality and what the People's Vaccine could do about it, talking to colleagues in Brazil and India, around Latin America, across Asia. And I will tell you that one thing they said over and over again is that, like it or not, the activism that happens in Washington means a little bit more. It's not that we are not in partnership with them as allies. It's that they know how power works and where decisions get made. And they said over and over again, the world's most important currency right now may not actually be money or even the ability to stop weapons hurting each other. It's who controls the vaccine that could save tens of millions of lives. That may be the world's most important currency in this moment. And that currency is being controlled by a very small number of corporations because this government refuses to regulate their power. And that happened through the last administration, and now we have an administration that has to make another choice. Are they going to perpetuate the policies of the last administration that let corporations decide who lives and who dies? Or are they going to demand that their power is regulated and we stop people dying now? So everywhere, we have 10 million members around the world. I promise you, they are looking to you, to activists in Washington who are willing to speak truth to power to Congress, to the administration, and to say enough. We demand, Joe Biden, we demand, Congress, that you regulate the power of these corporations and get the vaccine out there, free the vaccine, and make sure it's a people's vaccine for everyone. We're with you in that journey.
Thank you, Paul. So, like the polio vaccine that I mentioned, the polio vaccine was actually discovered at the University of Pittsburgh. I do think there's some people from Pittsburgh in the house. It was discovered on a university campus with public money. And it's the same sort of situation that has happened today with the COVID-19 vaccine. It was funded with public dollars in a university lab. And we have a student from Universities Allied from Essential Medicines to come and talk about her advocacy and why it matters and the role that it plays in freeing the vaccine. So Mansa, if you're around, can you come to the stage, please? And you can go? Any more? We're good.
Ooh. Hi everybody, thank you Merritt for the introduction. My name is Mansa. I'm here today representing UAM and Free the Vaccine, the People's Vaccine Coalition. And I'm just gonna get right to it. India is literally dying. There are people dying in hospitals, dying in lines, there are people dying in ambulances. There are bodies on the streets and it is heartbreaking. Most of my family is from India. I go to India all the time and I know a lot of other people are in really similar situations to me, and it is scary, especially when the death rate is increasing every single day. And quite honestly, it makes me angry. Angry that the thousands of deaths that are happening right now could have been prevented if the government listened to our calls. Free the Vaccine has been organizing, standing up here, fighting, and making these same calls for over a year now, and still little has changed. How many more people have to die? How many more countries have to die before action is taken? And I know there are a lot of Free the Vaccine members out here right now in the crowd too. And the Biden administration 100% has the power to make a difference and to curb this global crisis. Despite all the excuses that opponents of the TRIPS waiver may present, the waiver will help ramp up global production. It will help increase vaccine access in all these countries that are currently suffering and dying right now. And I'm tired of these excuses. I'm tired of the government prioritizing politics and profits during a pandemic. Since when did the right to intellectual property become more important than the right to life? And for anyone who is more concerned about the US, letting cases rise in these other countries will only allow for COVID variants and mutants, which will then come back to the US. It will 100% come back to the US, and this whole thing is going to happen again. So I don't know how much more it's going to take for people to understand that no one is really safe until everybody is safe. Until our government steps up, until the Biden administration steps up, fulfills their so-called position as a global health leader, and prioritizes vaccine access, we will continue to lose lives in the thousands every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are you done?
Yeah, free the vaccine, guys! Free the vaccine!
So I'm asking you all, do you think we can win? I'll ask you again, do you think we can win? Because I think that they think they're going to win, and by they, I mean the big pharmaceuticals and all the people on Capitol Hill that they pay for. Do you think we can win?
Yes!
Do you think we will win?
So, you mentioned earlier speaking truth to power, and our next speaker is someone who knows a lot about that. He is the co-founder of We Act Radio, which is based in Anacostia here in DC, and Truth to Power is what they do on a daily basis.
Yes, yes.
Kamon Freeman is going to join us right now.
Yes, yes.
To talk about his experience and what that means.
Power to the people.
One love. One love. One love. One love. One love. All right. My name is Kamon Freeman, representing We Act Radio. When I say We Act Radio, y'all say do something. We Act Radio. We Act Radio. I want to thank y'all for coming out here for just that. But I want to make some points made clear that what hasn't been made thus far. We're living in a world where the highest ranking black person in the Republican Party, Tim Scott, when the highest ranking black person in the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris, both agree and deny that America is a racist country. Those are alternative facts. When Joe Biden says he agrees that in America healthcare should be a right and not a privilege, but at the same time is against Medicare for all, he's a hypocrite. When you look around the world, the rollout of this vaccination, the disparity in this rollout mimics the same wealth disparities in this world. That is because white supremacy and capitalism is the real pandemic. White supremacy is the reason why America has the greatest number of deaths to COVID. Capitalism is the reason why America has the greatest number of deaths to COVID. We need to understand this. So it's because of capitalism that you are here today, because that is why these pharmaceutical corporations are not sharing the vaccine and doing this following example of John Assault. They are trying to profit and maximize on death and misery, as they have been doing for eons. I urge everyone to watch the film, The Price We Paid from the AIDS Health Foundation, to educate yourself on just how serious and insidious capitalism is, the maximization of profit at all costs. At all costs. In the nation with the greatest number of deaths to COVID, you have to sit here and lobby and demand or beg for them to do the right thing? Are you okay with that? I know this is Cinco de Mayo Day, but my great hero is Martin Luther King, and he had some words in May of 1967 I want to share with you here. I think he sums up the battle that we have ahead very beautifully. Martin Luther King said we must recognize that we cannot solve our problem until there's a radical redistribution of economic and political power. This means a revolution of values and other things. We must now see that the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are all tied together. You cannot really get rid of one without getting rid of the others. The whole structure of American life must be changed. America is a hypocritical nation, and we must put our own house in order. Martin Luther King. When I say we act radio, you say do something. We act radio. Stay safe, stay strong, stay woke.
Thank you so much, Kimon, who is one of DC's most powerful community activists and also an award-winning playwright. Thank you so much, Kimon.
And also, I know people are getting rained on. If you want some ponchos, they're being handed around. But we're going to be out here, rain or shine. The message won't change. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Kimon. And please follow them on We At Radio, the #1 progressive radio station in DC and soon to be the nation.
So guys, we know that COVID-19 is not the first global pandemic, right? There was HIV and AIDS. And during the HIV and AIDS onset, faith communities around the world played a very important part. And our next speaker is from Kenya. She works to unite many different faith communities. They too are supporting the people's vaccine and the TRIPS waiver. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Pauline Muchina, who is an advocacy coordinator, American Friends Service Committee.
Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon, friends. We are here today to show our solidarity with humanity, because these vaccines are supposed to save not just Americans, but everybody in the world, including Brazil, World Trade Organization. We know they met today again. They told us they cannot make a decision. What are they waiting to see? To see millions of people dead before they can make a decision? To see millions of lives lost, like during the AIDS pandemic, we lost 30 million people before they could act. Should we wait also to see 30 million people dead from COVID before our leaders can act? President Biden, please show compassion, show mercy, show leadership. Those things have no boundaries. If they don't act to save the rest of the world, even us here in the United States vaccinated, we will be at risk of the new variants. We cannot allow that. We voted for Joe Biden. We are crying to him. We bring the cries of people from around the world. American Friends Service Committee stands with humanity, calling the president, calling European Union leaders, calling the world to unite, to save lives. There is no time to waste. There is no time to keep on thinking about this. There is nothing that cannot be done if there is a will, if there is mercy, if there is compassion, if there is leadership. President Biden, please show leadership. You can save the world. We can save the world. Yes, we can save the world. Provide vaccines, not by sending several millions, but by mass production. Every country in the world should be able to save their people. Let's have mass production of vaccines, because if we don't, we will have failed. We will have failed future generations. Free vaccine! Stop vaccine apartheid! Thank you.
Thank you so much, Queen. That was absolutely powerful. And let us say, fight COVID!
Fight COVID!
Organize!
Organize!
Always focus!
Always focus!
Freedom on our mind!
Freedom of the mind!
Fight COVID!
Fight COVID!
Organize!
Organize!
Always focus!
Always focus!
Freedom on our minds!
Freedom on our minds. So, during a crisis such as these, we think about our government and what they do or what they don't do. And our next speaker has been thinking a lot about these decisions affect her families and all of our families. Karishma Mehta is here to discuss not just her candidacy for the 49th District in Virginia State House, but how COVID has personally affected her loved ones and family both here and abroad. So welcome to the stage, Karishma Mehta.
Well, most of you know, I normally
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karishma Mehta. I'm a preschool teacher and a proud Indian American running for the Virginia House of Delegates in District 49.
some of it.
I'm out here today to demand an end to vaccine apartheid and to demand the end of global genocide at the hands of pharmaceutical companies and their for-profit greed. My story is the story of so many people who come to this country and where a government has failed to meet
I
their
know
basic
it's
human
lagging.
needs.
I had gotten a warning about my data usage, so
survive in this country to afford
yeah, I think what
healthcare for
happens
their
is they
families.
throttle
And
the
those
data
are the same struggles
down,
that as a teacher
and
earning less than a living
normally
wage,
I
saw myself
end up doing
and my
a lot of
students struggle with
streaming
every
throughout the
single
month.
day, not just during the
Even though I've done
pandemic, but
less
before.
last month.
I'm fighting, and I know
yeah,
everyone
I'm
here
still
is fighting
utilizing a
to
lot.
end that cycle
So I
of
think it's
inequity
because
in this
they're
country,
throttling it
and to
down or
demand
the
that
settings.
the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee healthcare as a human right to all of its people, take action and pass a universal healthcare system, to pass a TRIPS waiver and protect everyone across the globe. What's happening in India and across the global south is devastating. 3,000 of my people dying every single day. People falling down on the pavements outside of hospitals. Mass cremations and funeral pyres outside of the hospitals in our country. Not only has Prime Minister Modi failed to deliver and added fuel to the fire during his authoritarian regime, but global superpowers have refused to release these patents and life-saving vaccine recipes to end this pandemic once and for all. Make no mistake, this is all to protect the short-term profits of the big pharma and a capitalist healthcare system that has commodified our human lives. Our struggle is global. I'm here today to call on President Biden to act urgently to support the TRIPS waiver and spearhead a global vaccination plan to ensure every person on our planet, no matter who you are, where you are, how much money you have access to this vaccine for free. In President Biden's own words, it is the only humane thing in the world